أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد أما عباد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I welcome you all to our today's class. Inshallah, in our today's episode, we are going to learn on the verse number 6 of Surah Al-Fatiha. And inshallah, we just recite this verse in two different ways. And then we are going to confirm which of this method is the best way to recite. That is, which of it is correct. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. That is the first method. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. And that is the second way, right? So I knew, most of us knew that the first one is the correct way of recitation, but I know most of us normally do mistakes in reciting that verse as Ihdina Siratal Mustaqim. Even I did that before, but Alhamdulillah, now I have the little knowledge which I'm going to offer to you. So the letter Nun has not been elongated in this place simply because of a rule which is known as Iltiqa Sakinain. So when we say iltiqa sakinain, it simply means the union of two vowelless letters. That is, if two letters that does not have fatha, kasra or dhamma, that is absence of vowel, they are close to each other. That is, they have the same union. That is, they are very close to each other, either in a single word, that is, they are adjacent to each other, either in a single word, or they might be between two words. The first word ends with a letter which does not have vowel, and then the second word has a letter which is having no vowel too. So in this place, we've seen that letter Nun is attached with a letter of elongation, which we know does not have a vowel, right? But iltiqa sakinain, let's now categorize the letters. So if the letter happens to be a letter of elongation, either alif mad, wa mad, or ya mad, three. That is the three, right? So there is a rule that you are going to apply for that, which is known as al-hadfu. That is, you are going to eliminate that rule. You are going to eliminate the al-mad. You are not going to elongate that sound if that occurs to a letter of elongation. But if otherwise, that is, if the first letter, I'm referring to the first letter, if the first letter is not a letter of elongation, then you are going to apply a rule which is known as at-tahrik. At-tahrik, it means substitution method. That is, you are going to substitute this sakin with a vowel, either fatha, kasra, or dhamma. And inshallah, we are going to talk about that, inshallah, in our subsequent classes. So, but today we are going to talk about al-hadfu, because what we've applied here is what is known as al-hadfu. The rule of al-mad has been eliminated in this particular ayah, simply because we are not stopping on the first word as ihdina. So if you are connecting those two words, you are not going to say ihdina siratal mustaqim, but you are going to say ihdina siratal mustaqim. Do you understand? So we now have a letter of elongation which we've applied what do you call it? Al-hadfu, which is the rule of iltiqa sakinain. Then, which of these letters among as-sirata is the second letter that we are referring to as a letter that is having sakin? So it is neither hamzatul wasl, but hamzatul wasl has to be present between these two letters, right? So this is part of the rule. You have to see al-hamzatul wasl in place between these two letters that is having sakin, so it will separate them. Then it is neither letter lam, which is alif or lam, it is neither letter lam because lam too is not active here due to a rule. That is your idgham lam shams, right? So idgham lam shamsiyya makes the lam to be silent. So because the letter of shams is behind alif wa lam, and which tells us that it is letter sod Sukoon, that happens to be the second letter of our iltiqa sakinain. The first letter happens to be a letter of mad, which is alif mad. Then the second letter, it is letter sod in this verse. So you know when we say sod shadda, it means the letter repeated itself twice. The first letter is Sukoon, then sod kasra si. So if you want to now read it, you are going to say di, then nun fateh now Sukoon. Ihdinas, then sod kasra si, ihdinas. You understand? You are not going to say ihdinas. You understand? So what you are going to say ihdinas siratal mustaqim. So al-idgham suppresses al-mad due to the presence of a rule which is known as al-hadfu, right? Elimination, which is from your iltiqa or sakinain. So if you check on another surah, which is Surah Al-Jumu'ah, in the first verse we have A'udhu minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Yusabbihu lillahi ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard. Ma fis samawati, we do not elongate the sound of the fa as ma fis samawat, you understand? But we say ma fis samawat. And again, we have idgham suppressing al-mad due to the presence of a rule, al-hadfu. Do you understand? Then, wama fil ard. In this place, there we have a rule which is suppressing al-mad, which is known as your al-idharul lamul qamariyah, because the letter of al-qamar is behind alif wa lam. So ma fil ard, don't say ma fil ard, no. Ma fil ard, fa kasra fi, lam sukun, fil ard, don't prolong the sound of the fa. Do you understand? So if you go to Surah Al-Takwir, there are plenty. If you go to Surah Al-Takwir, the first verse, you are not going to say إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ, but you are going to say إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ. If you continue, وَإِذَا النُّجُومُ كَدَرَتْ, right? So that is how it continues. So we are not going to prolong the sound of that mad due to al-hadfu. Then the last example I'll be giving is in Surah Al-Mutaffifin, verse number 2. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الذين إذا اكتالوا على الناس يستوفون. الذين إذا اكتالوا, don't say الذين إذا اكتالوا. Do you understand? Don't say it like that. If you are reading it, you are going to say الذين إذا اكتالوا. We don't prolong al-mad in this place. Do you understand? So inshallah, with this we've come to the end of today's class, and when next we meet, we are going to talk more on the second rule, which is governing al-iltiqa as-sakinain, that is at-tahrik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.